Okay, so today we're looking at the vital architecture of preventive geriatric medicine. It's an article pushing for regular checkups for older adults, to catch those silent conditions.
It's a great concept, and that title, Vital Architecture, is fantastic. But the execution, well, it's a bit of a fixer-upper.
That's a good way to put it. It feels like it was written by two different people. So let's get into the first big issue, which is that the piece struggles significantly with tonal consistency.
Oh, for sure. The shift between the main body of the text and that conclusion it's just jarring.
It's more than jarring, it's like whiplash.
Yeah. I mean, you start reading and it's incredibly clinical. We're talking myocardial infarction, renal impairment, physiological resilience.
Right. It's very dense, very authoritative. You feel like you should be taking notes for a medical exam.
Exactly. It sets a contract with the reader, right? It says, I am a serious medical expert.
And you buy into it, but then you get to the end.
And it all just falls apart. All of a sudden, it's go to your checkup before your body sends a surprise update. It's
the surprise update emoji, and then it's followed by early detection means fewer hospital trips and more fun trips, flight, dance, excitement.
It's like going from a medical textbook to an Instagram ad in the space of one paragraph.
It completely undermines all the authority that was built up. It trivializes the very serious advice that came before it.
You think so? I mean, couldn't you argue that maybe it's trying to be approachable? Maybe make the topic less scary for an older reader?
I see the potential intent there, but it backfires. Think about it. If you're on a plane in a storm and the pilot comes on the intercom and says, "Folks, we might have some surprise turbulence, LOL," do you feel better?
No, I feel terrified. I think he's not taking it seriously.
That's exactly it. It reads like you're not taking the reader's health seriously. It feels mocking.
Okay, that's a fair point. So the core weakness is that it trivializes the message.
Yes. So the suggestion here is to harmonize the voice. You have to pick a lane.
Right. So two options. Option A, we lean into the authority.
Exactly. The formal route. If you're going to use a title like Vital Architecture, the conclusion needs to have that same weight.
So instead of a surprise update,
you lean back into the metaphor. A concrete example could be something like, just as a building requires inspection to stand, your health requires surveillance to endure.
That's strong. It's consistent. It respects the reader.
It lands the plane safely.
Okay, but what about option B? What if the writer really wants that friendly, fun trips vibe?
Then you have to earn it. You can't just staple it on at the end. You have to weave that motivation through the entire piece.
So when you're talking about hypertension,
you don't just talk about vascular resistance, you immediately connect it to the lifestyle benefit. You could say something like, managing hypertension isn't just about your arteries. It's about making sure your heart is ready for that trip you've been planning.
I see. So you're seeding the fun throughout.
You're seeding it. So when the conclusion mentions fun trips, it feels like a callback, not a random non sequitur.
That makes total sense. Pick a persona and stick with it. Now, you mentioned the title.
Yes, the Vital Architecture. It's a brilliant title.
It is. Which brings us to the second point. The piece utilizes a compelling title, but completely fails to use that metaphor in the actual argument.
A huge miss. I saw architecture and I was expecting, blueprints, foundations, structural integrity.
And what did we get instead?
A laundry list, hypertension, diabetes, imaging, bone density.
It's just a standard checklist you could find anywhere. The promise of the title is totally unfulfilled.
It feels like the title was just tacked on at the end to make it sound more profound than it is.
Yeah, it's a real missed opportunity because that metaphor is so perfect for aging. Foundations cracking, pipes leaking.
It's all there. So the big suggestion is to actually restructure the entire piece around that architectural metaphor.
Okay, let's play with that. How would you do that for, say, the hypertension section?
Well, instead of just the heading hypertension, you relabel it. Call it the plumbing and pressure systems.
The plumbing, I love that. Everyone gets that.
Everyone gets it. High pressure in the pipes is bad. It leads to leaks, bursts. In your house, that's water damage. In your brain, that's a stroke.
That's so much more visceral. It makes an abstract number like 140/90 feel real.
Exactly. And what about bone density? That one feels like a layup.
It should be the foundation.
Right. reframe it explicitly as the foundation.
So suddenly calcium and vitamin D aren't just supplements, they're what, rebar?
They're reinforcing the load-bearing walls. You explain that a crack in the foundation compromises the whole building, no matter how good the exterior paint looks.
I love that. And it reframes the checkup itself, too. It's not just a visit.
It's a structural audit, a preventative maintenance schedule. You're checking the wiring, the plumbing, the foundation.
You're not just getting a checkup, you're doing property management for the most valuable asset you own.
Which is the language that really resonates. Now, there's another phrase in the piece that stood out: silent progression.
Right. That hypertension and diabetes develop silently without obvious symptoms.
It's true, but it leads to our next critique. The concept of silent progression is presented as a dry fact, and it misses a huge opportunity to create narrative tension.
It does feel very passive, doesn't it? The sentence is, this silent progression makes annual examinations essential. It's correct, but it doesn't exactly light a fire under you.
No, because there's no sense of an active threat. It just sounds like something that happens. There's no antagonist.
We have to be a bit careful not to just scare people, though.
Of course, this is about creating urgency, not fear. Fear can paralyze, urgency motivates. So the suggestion is to personify silent progression. Make it the villain of the story.
So the silence isn't just an absence of symptoms.
The silence is deceptive. It's a cover-up. Here's a concrete example. Instead of saying, many conditions develop silently, rephrase it. These conditions cloak themselves in silence, actively masking the damage they are doing.
Cloak and mask. Those verbs are so much more active. It feels like the disease is an intruder.
Exactly. And if the disease is an intruder, then the doctor and the checkup become the hero.
The detective.
The detective! You frame the diagnostic tools, the ultrasound, the blood tests, as the detectives uncovering a hidden plot.
So that comprehensive overview of internal organ performance.
That's not a test. That's interrogating the body's silent systems to reveal what's hidden.
Interrogating the body. That's powerful. It flips the script. The patient isn't passively being tested. They are launching an investigation.
It gives them agency, which is so important. And that's actually the perfect transition to our final point, the so what factor.
Right. The motivation. The piece relies way too heavily on avoiding negative outcomes. It's a whole list of things to be afraid of. Stroke, kidney failure, vision loss.
It's a disaster list. And frankly, it's exhausting.
It creates what you might call medical fatigue. For an older audience, that constant fear-based messaging can just cause them to tune out.
And it talks about independence in the summary, but it never really cashes that check in the body of the article.
It doesn't. So the big suggestion here is to shift the entire lens from preventing pathology to preserving capacity.
Yes. Connect every single test, every piece of advice to a tangible life activity the reader actually cares about.
Okay, let's take bone density again. Right now it says it reduces the risk of hip fractures. That's the pathology.
So what's the capacity? What does a healthy hip let you do?
It lets you garden. It lets you play with your grandchildren on the floor. It lets you live in your own home.
There it is. That's the gold. So you rewrite it. You explicitly say this is about maintaining the ability to walk in your garden, play with your grandchildren, and live in your own home.
Live in your own home. That's everything. That's the primary goal. You're not selling them calcium, you're selling them the keys to their front door.
Exactly. It's a completely different motivation. And you can do the same thing with the financial part.
Right. It mentions cost effectiveness, which sounds like it was written for an insurance company.
Nobody cares about the healthcare system's budget. They care about their budget.
Their nest egg.
So you frame it that way. You say, an ounce of prevention protects your nest egg from the devastating costs of long-term care.
So now the checkup is a financial decision, a legacy decision.
Yes. And finally, mental health. The article is so vague, it just says discussions provide reassurance.
Reassurance is so weak.
We can do better. Be specific. Say something like, the peace of mind that comes from knowing your engine is running smoothly allows you to focus on living, not just on worrying.
It's about getting rid of that background hum of anxiety.
So you can book that fun trip without that nagging voice in your head.
It brings everything full circle.
You know what's interesting is we haven't changed any of the actual medical facts.
Not a single one.
We're just renovating the house to make people want to live inside it.
Okay, so this has been a lot. For the writer listening, let's boil it down. What's the punch list?
4 main things. First, fix the tone.
Stop the whiplash. Pick a voice, either the serious architect or the friendly guide, and stick with it.
Second, commit to the metaphor. If the title is Vital Architecture, build the article that way. Plumbing, foundation, structural audits.
Third, create tension. Turn silent progression into the villain. Make the checkup a detective story.
And fourth, sell the lifestyle. Always connect the medical advice to a real-life benefit, not avoiding a stroke, but staying in your own home.
That is a very clear roadmap. I think with those changes, this piece could be incredibly powerful.
We agree. So to our listener, we invite you to take these ideas and renovate the piece. We'd love to see you rewrite that foundation section in particular. Submit the new draft, and we'll see if the new structure holds up. Thanks for joining us for The Critique.